sun's turned up. There you go. So what we have is the new moon is here in Gemini. So depending on your rising sign, this is traditional chart that I'm showing you. Depending on your rising sign, you're going to basically be looking to where that is, what house it's happening in for you. So for me, it's in my 7th house, which is to do with business and partnership and relationship to other. So it's a way of communicating. The 7th house is really bouncing things off other people, not just going on your own way. And it's, I traditionally, for me, I've got a 7th house sun and a 7th house moon as well. And this chart, I'm going to show you on my chart before I start. So if we go to here and what's Daisy? Let's make this bigger. I'm just gonna, what am I doing? We have Mercury still, Mercury is still retrograde. So let's see here. There you go. So you basically, this is my chart. And what you will see is that this is my traditional chart. And then if I go to with transits, you have the moon for me and the sun. When it's a new moon, they're conjunct, they're on top of each other. When it's a full moon, the moon is opposite to the sun, or the sun is opposite to the moon. And you can see that it's just landed in this position for me. Very interestingly enough, and a few astrologers pointed out on social media as well, that this here is actually to do with Archangel Michael, which is quite beautiful. So 9 degrees 19 in my chart. And you can see that this is, I think it's a fixed star actually. I'll have to look more into it, but I think it's quite beautiful that that moon and the sun and the moon, the new moon, has landed on the planet here that's to do with Archangel Michael. So now I'm going to come off sharing screen and I'm going to go, or maybe I won't, let's see. We've still got that Mercury going retrograde. I'll show you that as well in on the chart. I just want to show you something else actually. This is what I want to show you. So this is the one I just showed you of my chart. That's astro.com. And here you have astro-seek.com. Okay, horoscopes.astro-seek.com. And this is really a really good resource because what it will give you is all of the aspects, which is really brilliant. And you also have that you can see the Pluto is trying to Mercury down here. And then you've got this beautiful situation actually, 30th of May 2022, 12:30. You've actually got this aspect going on here with, if you look at here, and it's basically hitting Neptune and Jupiter and Mars. So this is quite lovely that we have this. Mars is to do with our direction. Jupiter is to do with expansion and higher education. We've also got, Jupiter is also where we have benefit in our chart as well. We've also got the Neptune is in Pisces. I'm a bit all over the place, but I won't be in a minute. We've got the North Node here. You can see that it is 21 degrees and the nodes actually go this way around the chart and the rest of the planets go this way around the chart. But on solar fire, I'm going to show you and I'm going to read some of the definitions of that for you, what that means. So this chart, there is a Lilith is going sort of to Neptune up there. So if we look, actually, we can see that Lilith is sextile to Venus, but square to Mars. So Lilith is that energy that's to do with the Garden of Eden. The mythology there is that Lilith was in the Garden of Eden and she refused to lay below Adam. So if you can imagine that energy, which is pretty unruly, I'm not going to do as, you know, as my told. I'm going to find things out for myself, do things my own way. I don't want that. So, and then Mars is our direction. So in a way, that feminine energy, which is very raw energy, is playing out there with Jupiter as well, which we do need in society. And I would say that the Lilith is not just to do with the female, the males have this aspect also, that, you know, if you're a man, you have this aspect in your chart also. And it's where we, you know, break free from consensus as well. And that's my view on Lilith. I love Lilith in my chart and what she does for me. You know, you might have some squares to that, or you might have some trines. You need to look at your own chart to see what Lilith is doing. There are 3 Liliths. There's Lilith 1181, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but I'd need to double check. And then there's Black Moon Lilith, and there's True Lilith, and they're all doing different things in the chart. And the True Lilith is the resolution, and the traditional Lilith is the what I would say would be referred to the Garden of Eden type archetype. And then the Black Moon Lilith is the sort of go-between, where we're trying to mature and become the person we're meant to become wise and deal with things in a adult way. And also we got Chiron sextile to the sun, Chiron sextile to the moon. I'm showing you this because if you are able to do this, you're able to see what's going on. So the sextile's a nice energy. The node is sextile Neptune. The node is conjunct Uranus. So that's moving on in. It's 5 degrees apart at the moment. You can see there. And then we've got also the node is conjunct Mercury. The node is square Saturn. The node is conjunct Uranus. I just said that. And the node is sextile. Then we have the sun is conjunct the moon always when we have a new moon. Remember that. And then we know that it's in Gemini, which is to do with it's to do with short journeys. It's to do with all of our communication. It's to do with the trickster in the archetype. It's can be fun. It can be butterfly type behavior. It's to do with our nervousness as well. You know, I'm Gemini sun, Gemini moon, so I tend to be, you know, it's changing subjects. Subjects can be changeable. The sun is sextile to Mars and sextile to Jupiter, which is beautiful. The moon is sextile Mars and the moon is sextile Jupiter. The Mercury is square Saturn, so there's a bit of pull on information there. Saturn is restriction. Mercury is to do with our communication, and that at the moment has been going retrograde. It's been retrograde for some time, and it goes direct on the 3rd, and it'll still be in shadow, but on the 3rd it goes direct. It's been retrograde. It's going back to 25 degrees, I think, of Taurus. We'll look on solar fire in a moment. Then we have Mercury is trying to Pluto, which is beautiful. It's the communication, and Pluto is transformation. And then Venus is square to Pluto, which can be a bit tricky. You know, there can be jealousy, there can be a bit of struggle between our needs and Pluto wanting to transform. And Pluto is in Capricorn, and Venus is currently, we'll have a look, Mars. Venus has just actually gone into Taurus. I'm going to read something on that too. And then we've got, I think we've gone through that. So you can see here that you can bring up a chart if you go here, and you can put in your own chart, birth date, time and place. It doesn't read the chart for you, but it gives you an idea of the meanings of your natal chart as an example, which is really useful. So now if I go new share, and I'm going to come off camera and look at this chart in full and give you a bit of more meaning of what it means to us. So let me come off camera, stop video. Okay, so a bit more, I pay a bit more attention when I can't see myself, to be honest with you, which is interesting. But I get distracted by seeing myself on camera sometimes if there's not other people interacting with me. But if I'm interacting with another person, then I'm focusing on them, which is great. So we know the aspects. I'm going to make sure I'm sharing the right thing. This is the animated page. So now if I get my pointer here, and you can see that the moon, that's 9-3, and we had it on that lovely planet, which is to do with Archangel Michael, which is beautiful. So if we look at Venus here, it's moved into Taurus. We can go back by days and we can see when that's gone in. 1, 2. All right, so 28th, 29th, and that was yesterday. It would have gone in probably yesterday, definitely 29th there. And then we've got that Venus in Taurus is to do with the need for, it's about our needs, okay? In evolutionary astrology particularly, we look at it that way, and how we hear things as well, our inner voice. It's how we control over resources. It's being sustainability. It's to do with balancing self-values with others' values. So it's where we're balancing our own values with other people's values. So it's not all about self when it's in Taurus. It's to do with also other people's needs and security through resources. So we're looking at this right now on planet Earth with what's going on with the food, with the inflation rates that are, I've noticed it big time in the UK where we buy regular things. You may notice this yourself wherever you are, that where you buy something regular, like a regular staple food, you may realize that, oh, the price has gone up. Oh, the price has gone up. So if you can, as best you can, without, you know, buying everything off the shelves and not leaving things for other people, buy what you can. Like if you buy, you know, just so that you've got a bit of stock for yourself, because resources are just not to do with food. They're also to do with gas, electricity, and the resources of Earth, you know, money, food, water, all of these things that we need in order to survive, our basic needs. And also with Venus in Taurus, it's a self-worth and relationship to others. Like what is it, the value of this person to me? And also how we listen to the needs of others and taking care of ourselves and acknowledging what matters to ourselves. And then also receiving things that are valued. Also, we've got self-reliance, belief that needs are acceptable. So we have to realize that our needs are acceptable, and our needs are going to be different to other people's needs. We all have basic needs, and then when we move beyond the basic needs, we've got particular needs of things that we to ourselves that we like. We're all individuals, you know, and this is part of individuation, that we've all got things that are important to us that are different to what other people like, and we have to take that on board. And that's in relationship as well. Don't deny your own needs. If you feel, you know, sort of like resentful that you're not getting a need met, you know, try and talk it through with somebody, particularly, you know, with that new moon in Gemini. And what we have is that, you know, we're talking about, this is where it's about communicating, it's communication. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Then we have, I'm going to read through the key words of this here. And actually, I've gone forward there, but we're going to go 30th. There you go, now. And that was earlier today. So we've got, with Gemini, we've got communication. We've got learning as well. You know, it's where we learn things. It's to do with writing, speaking, thinking. It's the left brain. Jupiter is opposite, and it's the right brain. It's the higher realms of bigger picture. But Mercury, with regard to, or Gemini, it's left brain. And then we've got to have information. We have duality. We have it where we can be scattered and superficial. We can be literal and cynical. There can be lies as well, because we've got the archetype of Mercury was a trickster, and to do the travel and also overseas trade rather than travel. We've got our opinion, and our opinion can be subjective as well. Just because we have an opinion or other people's opinions, you know, there's very few things that are absolute truth. And generally we will be feeling things that are to do with our subjective, to do with our personal preferences. It's our short-term memory, whereas Jupiter, Sagittarius opposite, it's going to be longer term. It's a fluctuating viewpoint. It's like, it's this and that, and rationalization. It's to do with siblings. It's the twins. It's to do with our relatives. So relatives don't have to just be family. You know, relative to us, I could say, or even when we look at it that way, it's logic. It's intellectual doubt. You know, checking out, is this true? You know, is intellectual doubt is very useful. Otherwise, we wouldn't question things. It can be instability, it's ever changing, and it's a teacher, it's a scribe, it's short journeys, and I already said trader and merchant. So let's see what else is going on here. So Jupiter is in the sign of Aries here, and you can see Mars is going to be here for weeks. It's about Mars in Aries is at home, because Mars and Aries go together, yeah. And we've got Chiron also in Aries. So Chiron is to do with our wound. It's to do with our early wounding and past life. If we believe, you know, that everybody's got different belief systems around, you know, past lives and such like. Venus is to do with our needs. Uranus is to do with breaking free of limitations. The North Node is the path that we're on. And then Mercury is to do with communication. The Sun is to do with who we are. It's our creativity. It's where we shine. So depending on where that is for you, that's where you'll shine most. So for me, it's in my 7th house. So I shine in communicating with others. That's where I shine. But the ruler, what we would always do in our own chart is we want to look where the ruler of us, the ruler is Leo, or the Sun and Leo go together. So you want to look at where Leo is in your chart. For me, it's in my 9th house, which is to do with higher education, travel, spirituality, overseas travel. So you can begin to integrate a chart. It's not just one thing. Yeah, it's very deep work when you, and I keep learning. When you do astrology, you're learning for the rest of your life, because aspects keep changing, and there's so many, and the aspects are all of these squiggly lines. Not squiggly, they look squiggly because there's so many of them, but all of these lines in these boxes here. We have, I won't go too deep into it, but this is Lilith, and that's also Lilith, and then these ones I'm not going to go into. Very interesting for me, the A that you see there, if you ever see that when you're looking at my work, or my videos, not my work, but my videos, what you'll see is this is to do with, it's an asteroid, and it's basically, it's called asteroid 201, and at the moment it's in Virgo, but the name of that asteroid is my name, which is Penelope. So you might have an asteroid called after you as well. You could check that out maybe by Googling. The South Node is in Scorpio. These nodes are going to be there for the next year at least. And this is challenging us to let go of the past. I don't particularly like the word let it go, because it's more of an integration. That's how I see life, that we don't really let things go as we develop and we grow. And even with any trauma that we've had, we begin to integrate it. And even with the word forgiveness annoys me, because what happens is that as we move away from the trauma and we work on trauma and things that we've experienced, that in time, for some of us, not all of us, because some people with complex PTSD issues will have flashbacks, but as we heal, the gap between having a flashback and having the fight, flight, freeze, fawn response, they begin to widen. So it means that they happen less and less and less. So the inner work is really important, because otherwise there can be a lot of dissociation, which I've done in my own life, where there would have been use of, you know, alcohol or drugs, recreational, looking for relationships, so many different things that can, you know, keep us in our trauma, because we're not able to heal it whilst we're so dissociated. There's some great work around that on social media, YouTube, you know, check it out. And also, I love the work. I'll show you a book in a minute, actually, the work of Jung, and also the idea that we begin to individuate, which does not mean separating ourselves from other people. It means making choices that are not, you know, that we question. So we question things, you know, our religious beliefs, our spirituality, we question things and say, is this who I am? Where did this come from? Do I believe this because somebody told me that that's the right thing, or do I truly believe it? What feels right in my body? What feels authentic? Pluto in Capricorn will be leaving in a few years' time, and that will be huge for humanity. It's been, you guys in the USA have your Pluto return, but that's going on for some time, because that Pluto is really wiping the slate clean, and it's in Capricorn. When we had the financial crash of 2008, 2009, 2008, Pluto just entered into Capricorn, and it's been there for all of these years. And it's, when it leaves, it's going into a new time of development for humanity. In the sign of, if we look at Capricorn, and we look at the ruler is Saturn, we can see that you know, that the hardship there, or the breaking down of structures, because Pluto will hopefully leave us with what is, you know, important, you know, the basic structures that are important to us, but it wipes out things that are no longer working. That's what it's trying to do. So then we have Saturn is in Aquarius. Saturn, I think, let's go ahead with this, because I love watching the planets move. So we're going to go weeks. So that Saturn is going to go retrograde. So let's just see when that does. There you go, within a week. So let's go back days and catch what day that is. 1, 2. So it's going to station on the 4th of June, which is in a few days' time. It's going to go retrograde, and everybody's probably going to say, oh my God, Saturn retrograde. But it gives us time to go over stuff. So, you know, again, we want to look at what's happening in our chart, to make sure that we understand what's that's doing for us. For me, it's down here in this area. It's in around my 3rd house. So for me, it's about the way I communicate. So I'm learning to communicate in a new way and cutting out the stuff that's not relative to me. 3rd house. And it will go back when it goes retrograde, it's going to be about 5 months. So let's see, we can go forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's gone, then it will go direct again. But when it does that, you can see that in November, it's going to square to Uranus again for the last time, not for the last time ever, but for the last time, as we've had, this has been going on for a good year, or all of this year. We've had this Saturn square to Uranus. So Saturn is really causing a problem. So I'm wondering in time, with what's going on with regard to the health matters of the world, we all probably know what I'm talking about there, and the fear tactics, because Saturn wants to basically, you know, it's restricting us. And then we have Uranus, which wants to break free of limitations. And with this, if we go back now, that's the 4th of November, and then it will go direct. Now we're going to go back because I want to look at the node, the North Node, 4th of June. I'm going to leave this on the 4th of June, and it's only a few days away. If you look at the North Node, which is our life path, with that node in the 2nd house, okay, it won't be in your 2nd house. For me, that's transiting my 6th house in my own chart, which is to do with my daily routines and the way I organize my life and health matters and that structure in that area. So the North Node in the 2nd house, if it, you know, but I'm going to do, it's an idea because it's in the sign of Taurus as well. And then we've got Venus involved with the Taurus archetype. So this represents a quest for a set of personal values, and we need to leave behind past misdemeanors and earn our own way in this life. So we're all looking now to earn, not because of the 2nd house, but I would say this archetype, you know, where we're being asked to move forward. And the North Node in Taurus is that we can have a distrust of change, which we will probably see play out, because there's going to be a distrust where new monetary systems come in and things are changing, and also the way food is being produced or the way food is coming to us. There could be a distrust of change, and also the lack of food as well, a distrust around that. And then prices going up, distrust, more distrust. It's like, why do these things have to play out the way they do? And then we've got, but we want to develop creative outlets for our intense emotions at this time, so that we don't hit out at others and our loved ones. And we, you know, we can be feeling this because in the past we may have felt cheated and suffered traumatic endings, and we're learning now to trust the process of change. Very important, because that Pluto will be leaving Capricorn in 2023, 2024 permanently. Well, for 240 years. When I say permanently, it takes 240 odd years around the chart. Then we have this North Node. It's going to be touching in with Uranus. So let's see when that is happening. I'm going to go a month ahead. So the North Node will be 21 degrees, and then let's go weeks. 1, 2, we want it at 18 degrees, 19, there you go. So when that happens, this will be fun. This chart is dated the 1st of August. We've got here, we've got Uranus conjunct the North Node, which is breaking free of limitations, our life path. And then we've got Mars in Taurus. And Mars in Taurus is, we have strong personal desires, and that we will follow a reliable course of action in attaining those desires. So, and we might be feel stubborn if we are opposed. So, you know, definitely then we've got the Uranus in Taurus, which basically means that we are, and I will say that the last time that Uranus was in Taurus, which is fascinating when we look at what's actually taking place now, Uranus was in Taurus in 1934 to 1942. And we all know there was a war going on. During that time, it takes about 7 years to reassign. It's 84 years around the chart. So that being there is a big thing in humanity. If we go back 84 years, it was very much in the same place, sort of same degree. So what we're doing is that, you know, this is about our income, and if we take it as being in the 2nd house, and it's also where we're looking at, you know, money making schemes, you know, how are we going to make money, so that, because we've got all of these extra costs, and are we being ripped off, and all of these things that are going on. It's very fascinating because, you know, I did see, and it's very true, I've got a few friends, not friends, but people I know on YouTube, so more to the point, who talk about money and the markets, because it's one of my hobbies. I like to look at that to understand it. I'm learning about the money markets just for my own benefit. And what I found is that, you know, what people can blame other people, and really it's the collective, you know, and it's the history of money, how money, if we look back in history, money goes back to, you know, at one point, money, there wasn't no printed money, and there was no print, there were no coins, and people used to trade in salt, would you believe? So we can, and then there are times in history when debts have been wiped out. I was reading a few days ago that, you know, in Athens, for instance, there was where people, their debts were cleared so that they had more of a leeway. But unless things are set up really well, then we just keep repeating the same old problem, which we seem to be doing. In 2008, I'm going to come off camera because I think I'm going to go back to camera. So there you go. So in 2008, what we had is that we had a situation where there were bailouts. So when we had a complete collapse, there were bailouts of banks and stuff like that. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case this time. So we have to get really resourceful and really look at how we're going to look after ourselves. And also, for me, I'm going to do simple things, because it is not foretold, but, you know, what in the UK, there was news today, they said, you know, there may be blackouts in the winter. I don't understand why these things need to happen, really, but it looks to me, you know, the control mechanisms and monetary stuff is out of hand. It's not done in a life-giving way. You know, the people at the top, and we can blame, you know, I have seen that, you know, billionaires have been blamed, but not all billionaires are bad people. And it's to do with the way things are run. It's to do with the structure of money, which that Uranus hopefully will be dealing with. But, you know, what will happen with Bitcoin and stuff like that, we have no idea. I just want to show you this book here. This is called Individuation by Murray Stein. I got it on Audible, and it's such a good book that I then bought the book to reference. So I highly recommend that you get this book to understand what individuation is, because in my view, that's what we're individually supposed to be doing. And it's very important that we understand that individuation is not about separation as such. There may be times when we do separate and individuate. We do it when we're 2 years old, and it has been termed the terrible twos. But that age, 18 months to 2 years old. But the reality is, it's where a child is individuating. So all of a sudden, what happens is that what was, you know, merged in with mummy as an example, then becomes that's mine. You see children do it, you know, it's beautiful. I love that, watching that age when they become aware of what is theirs, you know, their own sovereignty, although their egocentric self doesn't understand it. And then later when we get into teen years and we move off into our own lives, and some of us get stuck in the social structures and systems that we forget that we've got to continue this path of individuation and taking responsibility for ourselves. And yes, we need other people, so it's not being totally cold and lacking of empathy of others and then just saying, you know, I'm on my own. It's not about that, because we actually do need each other to work together as well. I'm going to leave it there today. Let me know where that sun or the new moon fell for you, and if you want to book a session with me, currently it's $80 for an hour on Zoom. So do feel free to click on the link below this video. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see it. If not, then you may not see it. If I upload it to my Facebook page, then you won't see that link. But if you look on the YouTube channel, you'll see that below. It can be very useful to understand. And also solar returns, if it's your birthday, looking at the year ahead to see what structure is going on for you and what you can hone on in and become, you know, what you can develop in yourselves and what you can also heal in yourselves as well. Okay, that's it. I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching.